Shalom YouTube, and welcome back to some more Grand Theft Auto Vice City, the Definitive Edition. In this part, we will be completing the 3 RC vehicle missions that are requirements to complete in order to get your percentage points for 100%, and we begin here with the RC Bandit race that takes place on these lovely beaches of Vice City. Some would say life is a beach, but honestly this game is, and I'll touch more on that in a moment, but I would say that this is probably my favorite of the 3 RC vehicle missions, and then they just kind of seem to lower in quality as you move forward, so yeah, we'll see how that plays out in a moment. But here, you might notice a few things. There's a lot of orgies going on, as these RC bandits aren't physical objects, it seems, where you can drive through the other RC bandits if you need to. And there are opportunities to do so, and it's probably in your best interest to take full advantage of that little function of the RC bandits, because you don't have to worry so much about maneuvering past the other RC bandits. You can just drive straight through them onto wherever you need to go. Although, despite them not being physical, so they can't like spin you out or anything, they're still really scary because you can hear them constantly behind you. And right here I got thrown off because I was like, where the hell do I go? But then this giant rock gave it away and I figured it out. But, you know, it is scary hearing them behind you because they're constantly on your ass. So it's a bit concerning because, you know, what happens if I spin out and fly off the track and have to recover? I mean, it doesn't seem like there's really any recovery. You can see that guy, the red vehicle that was like barely on screen back there. So it's making me all sweaty in the pits. Which some people are into that, but, you know, when I'm trying to do these, you know, I gotta contain myself a little bit. But the reason why I refer to these RC vehicle missions as beaches with a bit of tongue-in-cheekness is mostly because of freezing issues that I was experiencing while doing these particular missions. And I'm not really sure why it happens, but I have a bit of a theory, and I feel like it's a solid theory. Now, I'm playing on the Xbox One, and I have a digital copy of this game, so maybe that has something to do with it, I don't really know, but I feel like because I'm at the point in the game where a lot of things have been completed, there's a lot of different things running in the background, primarily with those assets that we've completed, because those are generating money for us, and that is constantly updating in the background somewhere. And I feel like that, along with other things that you end up unlocking for doing certain things in the game, like certain assets will give you extra things on top of generating money. So all those things just being in the background, I think, is becoming problematic to where my game is freezing quite a bit. This RC Baron race was a big culprit to freezing, and it was so annoying doing this particular side mission. And I suppose for a lot of people this side mission is just annoying in general, as what we're doing is using this RC Baron to race against these other RC Barons to do RC Baron things, which apparently is flying through checkpoints that are scattered around Vice City. And I would say that for the most part this particular side mission is okay, but there are some moments where things get a bit dicey, so, you know, it can be a bit challenging at times, and not as much of smooth sailing as the previous RC vehicle mission. But something to point out is that the other RC Barons are physical, so you cannot fly through them, unlike in the previous side mission where you could drive through these through the other RC bandits that we were racing against. So we do have to be mindful of that, because if we crash and then land on any of these streets that we're flying over, then we might get screwed because there might not be enough street space for us to take off and begin ascending again, or there might be too much traffic in front of us, or traffic spawning, and then there are all these street lights everywhere, so it's a real pain in the ass down there to take off again. And look on the right. See that? The building just started gaping in front of us. Disgusting. But that kind of reinforces what I was talking about earlier, where there are these things in the background that the game has to recognize that have been done and completed, and so the geography might change in certain instances, or some things might need to be placed in certain spots that would normally be placed there at the beginning of the game. So like we've completed that mission, Demolition Man, for Avery Carrington, and so that building back there has to look a certain way, all exploded like, And so, yeah, I mean, back in my day, when it came to game crashes, that was usually because of scratched discs, which was an easy fix. You just end up buying a new disc usually, unless you could, buff out those scratches there, which there were some ways of doing that. But real quick, I mean, that was an instance of a game crash, so that's what it looked like. And it was a real pain in the ass with this particular mission because it kept freezing at the start during that little loading sequence where you see those instructions at the bottom of the screen and you can't move your RC Baron because you're just sitting there reading those instructions, and the game would just constantly freeze during that particular section of the mission. So I don't know, I mean, all that is a massive pain in the ass. And speaking of such things, we are now on the RC Raider pickup mission, which might be the biggest pain in the ass of them all. And not necessarily because of challenge or difficulty or anything, but more so just because this is a very time-consuming side mission. This thing took me 5 minutes to complete, and I thought I was doing relatively decent, so I'm going to speed up the footage just to save us a bit of time here, because you still get a pretty solid grasp of what you have to do even when the footage is sped up like this. But essentially, we're just flying around the airport and collecting these checkpoints using this RC Raider, which is a nice little helicopter type thing that is pretty cool, to be honest. I wouldn't have minded having a little mini race at the airport using this thing against other RC Raiders. I think that would have been pretty cool. More cool than this, that's for sure. But I feel like this is just kind of showing us stunt jumps and whatnot that are located around the airport. I think that's mostly what this particular side mission's purpose is, but who knows? Some people might enjoy it, and I should not judge those folks. We all enjoy different things in these Grand Theft Auto games. Some people enjoy their alone time with fine ladies of the night. No judgments there either. So because of the game footage being sped up, we're pretty much done here, approaching the final checkpoint, and we now have it. So that completes this part. Fantastic stuff. Mostly because it's all over now. I don't have to worry about game crashes with these particular missions, but who knows what's going to happen with these next missions that we're doing, as in the next part, we will be tackling the Pizza Boy mission, hopefully. So until then, I will see you next time.